You shouldn't use all your money to pay off your student loan. That's what my dad told me when I told him that I wanted to pay off my debt as soon as I graduated. 2 years after graduating nursing school, I was able to pay off my $26,000 debt without sacrificing too much. So I was able to go out, travel, and live freely without being too frugal. The very first thing I did is that I saved up the grant that the government has given me. In Canada, when you apply for student loans, the government gives you something called a grant where they help you to cover the cost of books, transportation, or any other thing that you might need during your study. So by the time that I've graduated my 4th year of nursing school, I had $7,000 saved up as a grant. I used that to pay off my loans. As a student, it's going to be tempting for you to use this free money to buy the latest iPhone, the latest MacBook, all the latest gadgets that you might see that your peers are using. But if you want to be smart about it, I would upgrade the things that I need to upgrade to survive the university. So if you need a laptop because you don't have one, or if you have a really old laptop, then it might be reasonable to buy one. Otherwise, keep your functioning laptop and actually save the money. If you can, learn about investing. This is something that I wish I knew in my 4th year of nursing. I wish that I put that money into some sort of high savings account, because that $7,000 could have been more. If we're looking at the average annual return of 6 or 7%, then that would have made a little bit of difference when it comes to actually paying off my student loans faster. The second thing I did is that I took on many part-time jobs while I was in school. I had a regular part-time cashier job across the building that I was living in. On my days off, I would pick up shifts there, and I had a consistent twice a week part-time job in that grocery. I was also an early childhood assistant in the university I was working at. If you're in university, you probably know that your classes are quite scattered during the week. So there will be days where you only have 2 classes during the day, or you have a lecture in the morning and then lectures in the afternoon. You might have 4 or 5 hours gap time. In that gap time, I would actually go to the childhood care center that's present in my university to pick up shifts that would help me kill the time while I'm waiting for my next lecture and also earn money. I also did a part-time job as an editor for a psychologist. I got this job through my then boyfriend, now husband's mom, who needed help with her proofreading report, and this was really easy for me because, again, it worked for my busy nursing schedule. I submitted it whenever she needed it so that I had some sort of deadline, but it worked out well. I also worked as a Casper rater. Casper is a test that university uses to gauge how the student is in terms of personality, in terms of their communication skills. Lastly, I did a retail job, which is an Abercrombie & Fitch. So as you can see, all of the jobs that I picked up were around my school, were around the area that I lived in. I grabbed whatever opportunity that I could in terms of making sure that it fit my lifestyle, which is the nursing school. So I had a very busy schedule, but they didn't take up that much time. I could do them throughout. So the point of this is that take opportunities, especially if they are convenient for you. The third thing that I did is that I paid myself every time with no exception. Because I was working so much, as you can see, I learned the value of money really fast. I was cheap about everything that I could be cheap about. So for instance, if I could buy a $2 coffee, I would not spend $5 coffee on Starbucks. By the end of my 4th year university, I had saved up $13,000, and I did this by actually just paying myself every time I had a paycheck. I gave myself $200 allowance to spend on whatever I want, whether that was money, clothes, or anything else that I felt like. So this way I didn't feel like there was a lot of constraints, because I was like, okay, I have $200 to spend on whatever thing I want, but the rest of the money would go to my savings. So I pretend that that money didn't exist. Really, this trick worked because I had saved up $13,000 by the end of my 4th year. The tip I have is to use Excel or Notion or anything else that will help you visualize your progress. So I find that it's really helpful when you see your progress. Oh, this month I saved $100, that month I saved $200. And over time, when you see your money accumulating in a spreadsheet, then you're more likely to keep going, and it's going to keep motivating you to keep doing whatever you're doing. The 4th thing that I did is that I learned to only spend on things that I value. I'm still learning this, but during university is really when I learned more about this. This was much harder to do by the last year of my university. I had discovered traveling alone for the first time, and I was ecstatic. I had a phase where I have to look cute for Instagram, so I bought new clothes, new swimsuits. Every time I traveled, basically Basically, I would buy things that would make me look cute on Instagram. But for the past couple of years, I had stopped doing that. I have a condo now, which is, you know, when you have a mortgage, your spending habits become very different, but I will talk about that on a different video. It's not wrong to spend money on clothes or things that society might tell us that you shouldn't be spending on that. I think that you should spend money consciously. If it's something that brings you joy every day, then go ahead and do it. But if you're spending in order to show off to your friends, then maybe I would reflect on why is that the case, because I think there's a deeper level when it comes to proving your self-worth to others, which is probably not worth it because it's your money, you worked hard for it, so why should you be spending it based on the opinion of others? The fifth thing that I did is that besides the monthly payment, I did a lump sum here and there. From June to December of 2018, I started my monthly payment, which is about $600 per month. At this time, I didn't have a job just yet, so my parents were actually helping me, which I'm super grateful about. I got my job in December of 2018 as a nurse. At that point, I told my parents that they could stop helping me out and I could take it from there. Because I was living with my parents' house, I had very minimal expenses. I only needed the money for when I went out. My accommodation was covered, my food was covered. Basically, I had very minimal expense. I would save up a lot of money through my nursing job. Every time that I would save up a large amount of money, I would actually did a lump sum. I got my first nursing job in December of 2018. By this time, I owed about $15,900. I made a consistent payment of $500 per month for 8 months until September 2019. My balance was about $11,621. And then in October of 2019, I made a lump sum of $5,000. So my balance went from $11K to $6K. I did this because I had a conversation with a friend who told me that by keeping my money in that account, I was actually losing more money because my student loan interest was taking more money. So it was cheaper for me to pay off my student loans than to save my money there. So I just kind of pulled the trigger and actually paid off $5,000 more. So in December of 2019, before the pandemic was happening, I was having this urge to have my own place because my boyfriend, who's now my husband, we've been together for about 7 years and we were living in our parents' house for this whole time. And at this point, we both had jobs. We were thinking of moving out together, but instead of renting, we wanted to buy our place right away. So at this point, we decided to aggressively pay our student loans. So in December of 2019, I made a lump sum of $1,500, $1,000, and about $2,194. Because my husband had paid off his loans, I kind of got inspired. I was like, oh, I want to pay off my loans too. So I basically finished it off around that time. And then on January 6, 2020, I got a mail that I officially paid my student loans. Honestly, it was one of the best feelings ever. My tip is that if you can get help from other people, whether that's your parents, to get the habit of paying your monthly loan right away. And if you have a job and you can save up pretty well, then make a lump sum here and there, and that's gonna speed up the process of you paying off your debt. If you like this video, you might wanna check out the video, How to Make Money Online in 2022, and I'll see you in the next video.